really required for the job, then recruitment, selection, placement, transfer, promotion. If the top management have their own attitude issues, then what happens is whatever the HR manager or the HR management does, improper actualization, then we have inadequate development programs, inadequate information. Is that a right person for a right job? That is what HR manager or the HR management does. For each and every department, how many employees we are supposed to give them. Hello everybody, a warm welcome to one and all. I'm Abhilash Chandra from the Department of Commerce and Management in Vidyashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence. Welcome to the sixth session of the first chapter, that is the introduction part. Now here we'll understand that what exactly are the scope of HRM. Now there are three fields where you can actually go with and you can actually have a very good scope of HRM. The first one here is personnel aspect. When I say personnel, that means staff or employee. That is called personnel aspect. This is connected with the manpower planning. That is how many people you really require for the job, then recruitment, selection, placement, transfer, promotion, training and development, layoff and retrenchment. So you have a lot of other things like remuneration, incentives, productivity, etc. So that all are in the personnel aspect. So here if you go with it, the scope of management, though it is only three, but in the first itself you have so many which is covered. That is called personnel aspect. Now here you need to know that as a HR manager, how many people are required to do our work. Or say example Wipro or Infosys, any company you take it, the HR manager will only recruit all the people. When he goes with it, he has a HR team where they will analyze that for each and every department, how many employees we are supposed to give. That is called manpower planning. After that, they'll call for an interview and they'll go for recruitment and selection process. After that, they'll go with placement, where exactly those people should be, whether they are supposed to get transferred or promotion, training and development, retrenchment, all those things will be covered in the personnel aspect. Secondly, we have is welfare aspect. What is it? Welfare aspect. It deals with working conditions and amenities such as canteen, crutches, rest and lunch room, housing, transport, medical assistance, education, health and safety, recreation facilities, etc. See, understand the assistance where you are supposed to know that. Here what happens is welfare of the laborer. There is a Factories Act 1948. Which one? Factories Act 1948, which you are supposed to study, and I'll teach you more about this 1948, where the labor law is being given in the Factory Act. And what they say is, why is that you should give education or health? In a sense, if you have a company and the employees are only graduates, right, say bachelor degree they have, now as a company you people need to encourage them to even finish master degree. And here there are few companies who will actually fund their employees to get the master degree also. If you have master degree, they also want you to expertise in some other fields as well. So they'll give you the education benefit, health benefit, they'll give you the canteen facility. All those facilities are given in the welfare scope, that is welfare aspect. The last aspect is all about industrial relation aspect. We call it as IRA, industrial relation aspect. This covers union management relationship, joint consultation, collective bargaining, grievance and disciplinary procedures, settlement of disputes, etc. So here industrial relation in the sense where employer and the employee relationship, if there is any problem, what happens is usually the employee will go for strikes and the employer will go for lockout. So there should always be a industrial relation aspect wherein you will go with settlement of disputes, or you go with the procedure of a dispute, disciplinary actions, and as well as collective bargaining. Please understand there is a word which has been repeated called as collective bargaining. I'll be explaining more about collective bargaining in the second and third chapter where you are supposed to know. So the next one we go with is limitations of HRM. After the scope, we have the limitations of HRM. Limitations are divided broadly here as it's a recent origin. HRM is a very much recent origin. Before that, they had something called personnel management where they did not have so many clauses which HRM will usually have, and that's a benefit given to all the human resource management team as well as the employees and the employer. Lack of support. Now support in the sense the HR manager will not get more support from the employer side. That is what it is. Improper actualization. Then we have inadequate development programs, inadequate information. So these are the limitations of HRM. First is recent origin. That's the reason you don't have inadequate development program and inadequate information. But the 21st century and the 22nd century will actually see a lot of difference. From the 21st to 22nd, you will be actually checking on whatever the updates will be. I'll be telling you what exactly it is. We are supposed to wait for this February also, where the budget will be shown and what exactly the salary things will be there, what exactly the taxes will be there. You will actually understand, and then we can go for it. Next, here the first one, if we go with it, it is a recent origin. The first one here is HRM is of a recent origin, so it lacks universally approved academic base. Different people try to define the term differently. That is very, very true. Some thinkers consider it has a new name of personnel management. Now, I told you about it. The earlier name was personnel management, but personnel management is totally different from HR management, right? And some enterprise have named that traditional personnel management department has human resource management department. That is the thing which many of the people have done it. Now, personnel management here, what happens is how many people are required to perform a task is actually given in the personnel management, but HR management is way ahead of personnel management. That is that a right person for a right job? That is what HR manager or the HR management does. One more is how much time he really requires. Is he getting all the benefit? Is he actually getting a favor from somebody? All these things, and a detailed report about a person is actually maintained in HR management. But whereas in personal management, it is like how much salary we are supposed to give, how much work we are supposed to get it done. Only those things will be there. That means quantity term is personal management, but quality with quantity is what HR management does. Such superficial actions may not bear much fruit. That is what it is. And what is actually required is a fundamental change in the attitude, approach, and the very management philosophy. Now, there are a few management who always feel that the employees are supposed to only work, they're not supposed to ask anything. But HR management, the minute HRM came to existence, it is always a friendly note for the employees to ask for each and everything so that they'll get a clarity about what work they are getting it done, how much they are supposed to get it paid, how many fringe benefits they are supposed to claim, how many incentives they are supposed to go with. All these benefits are for the employees. But if you ask me, sir, from the HR manager or the HR management, will the employer will also be benefited? Yes, they will be benefited, because HR management is all about creating job opportunity plus increasing the productivity and the profitability of a company. So here employer is also happy, employee is also happy. Lack of support. When you understand this, HR manager is also a person who is an employee. That means he should also listen to the employer, right? So HRM should have the support of top level management. Please understand, the human resource management comes in the middle level, so they are supposed to get the support from the top level management. The change in the attitude at the top can bring good results while implementing HRM. That means they are totally dependent upon the top level management. Owing the passive attitude at the top, this work is handled by personnel management people. So if the top management is good, you will actually make a very better HRM. If the top management have their own attitude issues, then what happens is whatever the HR manager or the HR management does, it will not be affected to the employees. Unless there is a change in approach and attitude of top management, nothing remarkable will happen. So you should actually give everything to the HRM, so people will actually work more, they get more productivity. But here what happens is the top level management feels that if they give more authority to HRM, then that department only will be very famous, because all the people, whoever wants to get more incentives, salary, fringe benefits, they'll be very friendly with the HR team. That is what they feel. So that's the reason they'll always have an upper hand over HRM. And next one, if we talk about it as improper actualization. Now, HRM should be implemented by assessing the training and development requirement of the employees. The aspirations and needs of people should be taken into account while making human resource policies. Here, you need to understand that the improper actualization means there are no people who will actually do a proper judgment and proper allotment of the resources or any training development. HRM is actuated half-heartedly. Here, this is what the very disappointed statement does in any other company. It's only half-heartedly. The organizing of some training program is considered as the implementation of HRM, but here what happens is just a small training, that is the organizing of some training program is considered as the implementation of HRM. That is not true, because training is a part and parcel of all the employees. They are supposed to go through it. Now, they are supposed to always be encouraged with training plus development. With this, the management's productivity and profitability approach remains undisturbed in many organizations. When they only go with only training kind of a thing, now what happens is the employer will always feel, now we have given training, now the productivity should increase. It's not. After giving training also, productivity will not increase. That means you are not touching the psychology of your employees. So to touch the psychology of your employees, you are supposed to even increase their remuneration. That is what HR manager and the HR management always try to tell the employers, but they fail to understand it, and that is how there will be an improper actualization. Inadequate development because of the programs whatever they conduct, because here the top level management will not give much fund to the HR people, so that they can actually go for a proper training development, and as well as there should be a proper psychiatric control and the assistance should be given to the employees. HRM needs implementation of programs such as career planning, on the job training development programs, MBO, management by objective, counseling, etc. See, here even psychiatric counseling is very much needed for the employees. There are few employees who will be very good from Monday to Friday, but some of the employees are there who are not at all wants to work on the day of Friday and Saturday. Now here what happens is you are supposed to counsel them what exactly it is. There is a need to create an atmosphere of learning in the organization. Now here learning is perpetual. Now you are supposed to always go for learning. That's why Mahatma Gandhi says that whenever you want to learn something, think that there is no tomorrow. There is like, you need to go for endless learning. You are supposed to always not postpone, but you are supposed to prepone the learning. That is what Mahatma Gandhi says. Now the next one is here, in reality, HRM programs are confined to classroom lectures and expected results are not coming out of this approach. Now here, if you go with only off-the-job training, then you will not get that much result. You should always go with on-the-job training. There are three types of trainings which they actually go with. One is on-the-job training, second is off-the-job training, and third is on-the-job, off-the-job training. That is where the people will also learn in the field as well as in the classroom. Both are mixed up, right? Next one is inadequate information. Some enterprises do not have requisite information about their employees. That is what it is. They don't have, because it's a recent origin where they don't have the past records. In the absence of inadequate information and database, this system cannot be properly implemented. See, only when you have a proper database, you can at least say what exactly the person is. But when you have inadequate, now then you cannot actually judge a person. So there is a need to collect, store, and retrieve all the information before implementing human resource management. So that now what is happening is, in the 21st century, all the employers are very keen about the data of their employees, because it's very, very vital, very, very important. Nowadays the HR managers and the team are collecting all the information data of all the employees whoever are working, but still I'll tell you 60 to 70% of them are successful in maintaining it, but the remaining are still they are following the personnel management but not human resource management. So these are the limitations, and we have studied even the scope of HRM. Now, when we go with the scope, we have three types of scopes of HRM, which will cover the entire human resource management. When we come with the limitations, now limitation is the 10-mark question. Please understand the limitations. Watch the session again, and thank you so much. I'll see you when I see you.